D.J. Henry, he's a Pace University football star who was shot and killed by police. What you may not know is that half a dozen of his teammates, black, white, and Latino, who were with him that night, who tried to save his life, tried to help him when they say he was not being given medical assistance right away. They were also arrested by police. They go to court later on this week. So we're going to continue with some of our guests here and add in some new ones. Noel Leader, co-founder of 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care, retired NYPD sergeant, is going to stay with us. So is author Peter Noel, a.k.a. The Flamethrower. We're joined on the phone by Professor Gloria Brown Marshall, John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and also Benita Zellman. She's a civil rights attorney who is representing these teammates as they go before the judge and go into court this week. And from what I understand, none of them has any type of criminal record. They were all in college, all playing sports, all trying to do themselves and their families and their communities proud. And then this tragedy happened. Benita and Gloria, are you there with us?
Yes. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. Benita, tell us where we stand in the case right now. What's going to be happening?
Where we stand in the case right now is that 4 of my 5 clients are now criminally charged with crimes and have to face prosecution in the town court of Mount Pleasant. We have to return to the court, and I will be defending them. We're on for oral argument before Judge Robert Ponzini on Thursday at 9 o'clock. We need the support of the community to show up, to show the outrage that has to be existing out there, not only because that officer, Aaron Hess of the local Mount Pleasant Police Department, shot and killed D.J. Henry and shot Brandon Cox, the passenger in the front seat, but then they falsely arrested 5 of my clients who their only crime was, not a crime obviously, that they wanted to perform CPR on their dying teammate who was laying in the street with 2 bullet wounds in his chest, handcuffed behind his back, face down, and dying right in front of their very eyes. So the continued crimes, I call them crimes because the police there assaulted my clients. They tasered 2 of them and beat the others, falsely arrested them, and now the district attorney has joined in and is maliciously prosecuting these innocent young men who have never been in trouble with the law before.
Professor Gloria Brown Marshall, we've had you on before on other cases. When you heard about this case with D.J. Henry, what outraged you the most about it?
You know, the fact that so many of these cases continue to happen to the point where there has to be a consequence beyond just protesting. And I'm so proud that we have this attorney here because so many of our attorneys are not advocates. They're trying to play the safe route as though racism is going to go away. The earlier discussion was on racial profiling. This is just another consequence of racial profiling. If you assume that people who are of color are automatically dangerous, and too many people in law enforcement believe this, then they feel they have to go to deadly force first, because we as black people are supposed to be so out of control that you can't reason with us, you can't do anything on a level that you would use humanity. You have to go to murder as the first and foremost elements of protection, and this is one other phase of racial profiling.
Noel Leader, as a law enforcement professional here, you were a cop for many, many years. What bothered you about this case? I mean, here they are. They're being told, DJ's behind the steering wheel, being told to move out of a fire lane at the strip mall where the restaurant or the club was. And then how does something just escalate that fast? That's what a lot of us just can't understand.
Well, it escalates that fast far often than not when officers act unreasonably. Deadly physical force was definitely not necessary in this particular case. This is like Sean Bell revisited. What I know so far about the facts of this case is that the officers overreacted, and an innocent college student, a good kid, life is lost, who didn't have a weapon, didn't present a serious threat against this police officer, but he's dead. And now the job of the district attorneys and the unions, of course, is to vindicate the police officer and just cross this off as an accident, as a mistake. We've had far too many similar mistakes in our community, and it's outrageous. As the attorney stated, something has to happen. Officer has to be locked up, arrested.
You know, most of the comments I get from some of my cop friends, when I was an investigative reporter at the Village Voice, I continually talk to a lot of white cops. The spot, there's something that they say, it is a bad shoot.
Right, shooting.
That's exactly bad shoot. You talk to a white cop, pretty much bad shoot. And this is, again, about white cops a group and they see one white cop do something and everybody just go and do the same thing. You react the same way, and then they start thinking afterwards. The cops in New York City shoot first and then ask the questions. They will handcuff a dying person regardless of what's happening, and they ignore anything around. There's no reasoning. It's just the cops are in control. They're the ones in authority at that point in time, and you will die because they don't want to hear anything at that point in time. So this kid died simply because cops wanted to show how much they were in authority. And the fact that they're still holding these kids is because that Bonita Zellman, who I have in my first book, is one of the toughest attorneys, and she has advocated for a lot of these people. They are going to drop these cases against these kids. They are because of this attorney. I know that for reasoning.
You're
now,
predicting that?
No, I'm not predicting. It's not a prediction. They will drop it because it's about covering what they did. They know it's a bad shoot, so they're going after these kids just to say, hey, we did something, and the district attorney too pretty much is behind the cops because it's a cop fraternity thing, and they want to say that we protect the cops. They will protect the cops for so long. When the feds come in, the feds will come in. When the feds come in and say, hey, we know what's going on here, and they file this 1983 suit that they file, they will see that, hey, the police, there's a culture of covering up. There's a culture of brutality pretty much in that department. And I think that Bonita Zellman will get to the bottom of this because she's pretty good. She's not to be trifled with.
Bonita, what about the facts of that night?
Well, let me thank you for your kind words, first of all, and I'll tell you that I am in this for the long run. I stood up for these young men, and I will not leave them till we get justice. And we're about to go into court on Thursday. And as you gentlemen know, and Lisa knows, that we need the public support down there. We need the community to make an outcry. We need the public to come to court with us on Thursday at 9 o'clock in the Mount Pleasant Town Court and tell Judge Robert Panzini, by virtue of your being there and showing up and standing up to support these young men, that we will not stand for the injustices perpetrated and friends who they love so dearly. These young men will never be the same again because they were prevented from even trying to save DJ's life, and they had to stand there and watch him after he was shot 3 times, twice in the chest, for no reason. He was pulled out of the car, thrown face down, handcuffed behind his back, and left there to die. How outrageous. There are videotapes showing that the police did nothing in terms of CPR or any other first aid to try and save his life. And what did he do? We have to go back to that, Lisa. A cop knocked on his window and told him to move out of the fire lane. He moved out slowly, and then that cop signaled to a cop a short distance down the road to stop his car. For what reason were they going to stop his car? Nobody's asking that question. And then this cop, Officer Aaron Hess, we can't even call him a cowboy because what he did in unjustifiably shooting and killing, and you use the word murder, DJ Henry, that's a criminal act. He's still on the police force. Why hasn't he been indicted? He jumped out in front of DJ's moving car with his gun already drawn. You do not stop. Ask Noah Lita. He's a very well-educated and experienced officer, and I've had the pleasure of working with him on brutality cases before. But, Noel, in the NYPD, are they trained to stop a moving car by jumping out in front of it with their guns drawn and pointed at the driver and then firing into the windshield 4 times?
Right. According to our police department procedure, you're not supposed to fire your weapon at a moving vehicle unless the occupant of that vehicle is using something other than the vehicle as a deadly weapon. We're trained that you don't shoot at a moving vehicle, even if it's come straight for you, unless the occupants of that vehicle have something other than the vehicle, using something other than the vehicle as a deadly weapon.
Attorney Bonita Zellman, the way the story was reported was that his car, the cop hit the cop, and then the cop landed on the hood, and when the cop was on the hood, that's when he shot DJ and Brandon, the guy that was in the passenger seat. Is that what you found from your investigation?
No, the truth will show that cop should not have jumped out in front of a moving vehicle with his gun drawn for any reason. Whether he was intending to stop that vehicle, he placed himself in front of a moving vehicle. That was his own negligent act. And why was his gun drawn against a student? There were 3 young students in that car, and I'm representing the student in the back seat, Desmond Hines. They dragged him out of that car. They smashed his head into the concrete, face down. They handcuffed him, and a white cop, put a gun to the back of his head and told him if he moved, he'd be next. Where is that cop Why hasn't he been identified and indicted? He threatened Desmond Hines with deadly physical force because he was a passenger in the back seat of a car.
No,
and then my other clients came forward and begged the police to let them try and perform CPR on their dying friend, and 2 of them were tasered. One was tasered twice in his stomach. An emergency procedure had to be done when they got around to bring him to a hospital to remove a taser. They shot 50,000 volts of electricity into an innocent kid. Where is that cop?
No,
and then the district attorney puts the very same police department that committed these horrendous acts of brutality, which are crimes, puts them in the lead position of being the lead investigators into this situation. How outrageous is that?
All right, and I want to extend an invitation again. Any of the police officers from that department or from Westchester County who would like to appear on the show, we'll be more than happy to hear your point of view. Hit me up, Lisa at hot97.com. And there's a lot of police officers. I too talk to a lot of police officers, Peter. Black, white, and Latino. We know a lot of you do a great job in our communities. You work very, very hard, but there's also been a tremendous silence about of condemning the actions or even asking for an impartial investigation on this. Professor Gloria Brown-Marshall, what role do stereotypes that people have, that particularly in law enforcement, against young men of color in situations like this, in split-second situations?
Well, and that goes back to this whole idea of racial profiling. It's not something that you can just say, I'm just going to use it in this one scenario and we're not going to use it anywhere else. It doesn't work that way. Once you brand people as enemies, as dangerous, as requiring this level of force with any interaction, that means that not just people like cab drivers, but people who carry weapons and are trained to kill, like police officers, are going to see that person or those people within that group as the enemy. And the message that's being said is, it doesn't matter if you're a college student, it doesn't matter if you're a good kid, if you're a black kid, you're a black person. It doesn't matter if you are highly educated or you're someone of stature in your community or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. It's just a matter of, to these people, what you look like on the outside. And from that, they want to go to the level of brutality that makes us the enemy. The other thing that comes out about this is, I've read in the newspaper, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that this police officer served in Afghanistan. So these same tactics perhaps were useful in that area of war and combat, but then coming back to the United States, now are we the enemy? Are we the people you're supposed to use that same type of force on? Because you can't see the difference between people who have been born and raised in this country, or have come here, law-abiding college students, and other people who are just trying to live their lives, from somebody who's part of an ambush that could have attacked you in Afghanistan. This really just comes down to, how long in this country are we going to be treated this way, and what are the consequences for these actions?
All right, let's wrap up.
Have to go beyond just protest.
All right, let's talk about a few quick solutions. Peter Noel?
And I agree with her. You know, we protest too much. We talk about these things.
Outrage is cheap.
We don't talk about...
Outrage doesn't cost anything.
You know, then again, when we talk to the police department, when these police departments comes to different communities, they play basketball. You know, they play night basketball. They play different things. They think that endears them to these youths that they have out in the streets. It's not. It's the tactics that they use when they come into the communities. If they see a group of kids in the corner, they right away draw their guns, their hands on the gun. They send them that signal, I'm ready to shoot you. And when they say, well, look, they try to explain, they say they slap the cuffs on you, and they get you for obstruction of governmental administration. That's one of the charges that criminalizes these young kids. And these things must stop. When people interfere in police procedures, it's because they see police wrongdoing.
All right, Noah, leader, final words.
And that's what happens with these kids.
And first of all, in these controversial shootings, these bad shootings, we need a special prosecutor. The agency and the district attorney, the local police agencies have an incestuous relationship with the district attorney's office. The district attorney's office cannot be in charge of the investigation because
you want somebody completely independent.
Totally independent, that's not connected to the DA's office or the local police department, because they have a relationship year long. Yeah. Secondly, one of the major ways these incidents can be stopped is the officer has to be prosecuted, and if convicted, he has to do some jail time. As long as these officers never get convicted for, you said it was a bad shooting, you really mean an illegal shooting, meaning that he didn't have the legal justification to use deadly physical force in this instance. And you just can't say, okay, oops, I made a mistake. Somebody's life is lost. We pay you, we train you. We have a right to believe that you're going to use all the power that we give you, and it's the power to take life legally.